everybody. Welcome to the Cosmic Lounge podcast through Monocle Consciousness Group and Etheric Web. Tonight, we've got a very interesting topic and a most beautiful guest, Jennifer Rose. What we're going to be looking at is ETs and the planet Earth's existential crisis. What we're looking at here is the merging of celestial beings, otherworldly beings, cosmic beings, ETs, including obviously galactic beings, and also looking at the transition which the Earth is going through and the many layers which are affected by it. And of course, our role and the way we're affected in it. So I've been really looking forward to this one, ETs and the planet Earth's existential threat. I can say it when I'm not on camera. So I think we should be okay. Just before I introduce Jennifer and bring Jennifer in, just want to let everybody know. I want to say hello to everybody who's just joined us. Sorry about earlier. We did have technical difficulties and it was my fault. I could talk about spirit and many things, but put me in front of the computer and tell me to press some buttons and forget it. So I don't even touch anything. So that was my doing. So apologies for the delay and anybody wanted to watch it, to get off. So we're going to introduce Jennifer Rose, if that's okay. Let's bring Jennifer in and let's get on with this.
Hi,
Jennifer,
I'm sharing us out.
Yes, thank you so much. While you're sharing, I'll just say a quick hello to everybody. Hi, Jennifer McCormack was here. Jenny Mac.
All good.
Linda Owen, thanks for joining us. David Jones. Evelyn, yay. Thanks for joining us, Evelyn. Is that Sora, B.H. Gupta. Don't know how you pronounce that. Jennifer.
Hi.
Shanti's here. So thanks for joining us, Shanti. Hope you're well. Let's have a look. Sylvie Bennett. Annie Layton. Hi, Annie. Thanks for joining us. Leona McAvoy from Dublin. From Dublin. Close to home then. Hi, Leona. And Rish is here. Hi, Rish. Thanks for joining us and coming back. You guys have got some patience. So, anyway, this is the subject, isn't it? This is what's on everybody's kind of mind at the moment. Cosmic beings, ETs, and of course, what's going on with the planetary shift. And it does appear that it's in a bit of an existential crisis. So thanks. And it was Jennifer, this was all Jennifer's idea. And it's not that I like to avoid responsibility. I just like to, pick his thoughts and Jennifer's idea. And I think it's absolutely amazing. And funny enough, it's an impromptu one. So even better. Jennifer, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. My dogs are happy that the live glitched because they got fed. They were hungry, so they're all good. So I'm doing good, but yeah, there's been a lot that's been coming through, from different realms of spirit, and then we chatted a couple of days ago. We were like, oh my gosh, we're channeling the same things. Let's see what we can put together with that too. So we're having some fun. So hi everybody, and thanks for hanging in there with us, and appreciate any help you can give us with sharing it out, a little hashtag live, tag follow, all that good stuff. So put a little heart on our video and it'll help with the algorithm. So thank you.
Yeah, you will, guys. Just to press that button. Let's get this info out there.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of people concerned and worried about what's going on. So we've got Caroline from South Africa.
Hi.
Thank you so much, Caroline. And Kat. Hi, Kat. Thanks for joining us. 56, 57, 9. Woof. So, yeah, let's get on with it. Let's have a look. Same. Very curious to hear more. Yes, Shanti.
Yeah.
Where do we start with this subject? Because on the one hand, we've got ETs. In fact, we've just recently had a little bit of a snippet of news seeping, kind of creeping it through, that there may be an announcement this year by the US government regarding contact or extraterrestrials. That was recently. Yeah, they've just, and this is the way they play the game. They kind of spoon feed everybody, and then like drip feed. They put a little bit at the beginning, and just go, okay, we'll just throw it out there rather than give them the whole lot in one go, and they like to play, don't they? So, but anyway, so that's one thing. We know as channels that, of course, we are not the only sentient beings in existence. It's ridiculous for me, especially in this day and age, with respect, to think we are the only species anywhere in the whole of infinite space. I mean, with
It
respect,
doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it makes no sense at all.
what makes us so special? Are we all the chosen ones? I don't think so. So, but of course, when we channel in, we know we've got other beings coming from other locations. Let's call them locations, planes of existence, we can say, obviously. Your thoughts on this at the minute, Jennifer?
Well, I absolutely agree with you. And and this is something that you've been saying for a while, is that they're trying to make more and more contact with us. So that means more and more people are starting to channel and get information from other sources other than what we would call the realm of spirit, where our loved ones and guides and so forth are too. But there's other realms or spaces. So we're in a very interdimensional, infinite consciousness that goes beyond the beyond the beyond. And and so I know that's mind-boggling, but it's super cool and fascinating and magical too. But hey, Ronnie, good to see everybody. Hi, Vivian. You all made it. We love you. And hi, Karen. Thanks for hanging in there with us too. So I think if we could talk about sort of like how everybody's really worried and what that's causing on a kind of psychological level, and then what the other realms are saying about it for us, and kind of like what we can do and what they're doing to help.
Yeah, I would say yes, Jennifer. Let's go in that direction. Just quickly to, I think it was. Oh, hang on, what have we done? Colin, don't push any buttons whatsoever. Yourself out, right?
Don't push the button. Don't push the button, Colin.
I don't know if I did it in my dream state one night just because I was a bit fed up with everything. Maybe, I don't know. In fact, in one of the moments, I've had enough with everybody.
David's going to have to put a "don't touch" Colin little sticker.
Talk about buttons. Let's go for that one. So, AM. I was wondering if Britain would get pulled into the war. So, just quickly, I want to answer that. AM. It's already happening. They've already been pulled into it. There was a drone attack in Cyprus in the first week, and that nobody knows who did it. So both sides are blaming the other, but nobody knows who did it. And of course, England have got two bases, RAF and Army base out there in Cyprus. So they've decided to send. They've had planes in the region anyway, so they've been helping, but they've kept the kind of tried to make out they're not helping. So when they're saying helping, it means they've got pulled in. So they was already involved in it. Yeah, to be honest, the question is how much deeper. So we can say it's escalating, but I think we'll try and cover this in layers and go with what you was just saying, Jennifer.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. And there's definitely a lot to worry about and a lot to be afraid about. That those would be like very normal human emotions, to feel this anxiety and this angst. But I think what's happening, it's on a global collective level, and then on a singular level is that people are being exposed to things that. And I'm curious what Vivian, because she's a psychiatrist, I'm curious what she thinks about this too. They are being exposed to now information that is shocking to their psyche, and is now making them question what they believe, what they think, what they believe, what they know, and that's really hard. And I understand that, but what I want to share is that the things that are coming out that people are finding about and feeling shocked about are things that have been happening since the beginning of mankind. These have always been a problem. So like the Epstein files, for example, I know there's a lot of shock and horror about these things. But this has been a problem for eons. Since the beginning, this has always been a problem. It's just we chose to look at it in a very limited way. And the reality is that the numbers you're seeing is those are numbers that feel big, but are actually like, well, that's what we get in a week on a national average. And you're looking at this. So we have to understand that bones aren't buried just on an island. Bones are buried everywhere. And we don't like to talk about them because we're sensitive and things like that. But when we talk about them or when we bring them to the light, that's how they get healed. And that's how we raise our frequency too. So we have to understand that conflicts, wars, and violence, these are things that have been going on forever. And it's just if we're just now saying, oh my God, I didn't know that was there. Well, we did, we did know that was there. We were kind of putting a little bit of blinders on too. And I can understand we're sensitive. Those things hurt our hearts and things like that too. So I just kind of want to like put that out there, but that causes very much an existential crisis in your psyche. And that's really hard. And so now people are going into depressions and they're feeling confused and they're like, but this is wrong. And I'm like, it was always wrong, right? it was always wrong too. And what it marks is when we're seeing all these different forms of violence and conflicts and war, we see this, widespread, very long-term lack of integration. And so it's like until people grow, mature, and integrate, and that means every one of us can do that. Every one of us can make efforts to do that. And the more people that do that, you start getting this, kind of expansion and this exponential change happening within the global frequency too. So I know we don't want to bring the vibe down, but we don't bring the vibe down by talking about hard things. We bring the vibe up by acknowledging hard things, giving it a name, giving it a face, giving it acknowledgement too, right?
Yeah.
And so what I've been getting, what you've been getting is with the our intergalactic friends, cosmic friends out there too. I've been assured we're not all going to die. We're not, it's like the Earth is not going to explode. So that's what I've been given too. So if that gives anybody some relief, they hear the word planet existential crisis and they're like, oh my God, are we all going to die? And they're saying, no, we're not all going to die. So that's a good thing. But we do have some work to do. We do have some work to do. Yeah.
Yeah, we certainly do, Jennifer. Totally agree. I just want to answer. Was it Karen? Karen, she said, how long will it last for? I think she was I don't know if she was referring to the situation in the Middle East or tonight's podcast. Which one are you referring to, Karen?
Well, she's got a sad face there, so I think she's concerned about all the conflict out there too.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. Before it kind of started, a couple days before, I was out at dinner and all of a sudden I got this overwhelming, sadness came over me and I'm like, oh my God, something bad's going to happen. And then a couple days later, I was like, oh, and then I was like, well, this is going to go on for a little while. I don't know how long for the war. She said, I don't know how long for too, but we will make it through. We've got astrologically this, Aries, Neptune, Saturn conjunction. And I'm not an astrologist, but I was talking with my friend Danny about it too. And that is a time when you can see conflicts happening too. But if we look at it from the lens of what is this going to show us that we weren't, aware of? And then what can we learn from it? Where is this going to take us? And what can we do now every day to help improve the situation? Because we can. There absolutely are things every single person can do to speed up the process of bringing peace, because the opposite of war is peace. So both of those frequencies are possible because they're interplaying with one another too. It's just we want to keep aligning. I'm getting chills with that. We want to keep aligning into the frequency of peace by finding peace within ourselves and within our community and around too. And there's some exciting things, though, that Colin and I both saw too, that are helping with that too.
There certainly is. There certainly is. So thank you, Jennifer. And for those who just joined us, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Hello to everybody. Dispelling the fear. I think and I agree with what you've just done, actually, Jennifer. You've approached the fear factor straight away, which I think is so important, because that which appears to be chaos is frightening for people unless they can find some clarity in it. And of course, the conditions of humanity, which have been placed and kind of infected humanity, additionally involve fear inside them. For me, my understanding is, one, the light is coming, and the darkness of the world will not succeed in extinguishing life on this planet. That's the first thing. And that's over many years with communicating with certain beings on the other side from the light. Second thing is this situation in the Middle East. Over 30 years ago, Spirit and Guide showed me this situation and leading up to this situation. So it's worth sharing this bit, because I could see the process of interfering with several countries. There was a list. Now some people are already putting that list out now, but there was always a list. And it involved a certain group of people what had a relative control on the planet, and their plans, how they perceive it, and what they wanted to install on the planet, so they gained total control over it and dominance. Because previously there's never been an opportunity to get total dominance over the planet. The technology and the power wasn't in place, but that's always been the quest of that kind of minds who think in that way. And Iran was specifically the last on the list 30 years ago. And I saw the unfoldment of certain events, and obviously I'm wording this specifically. I saw the unfoldment of certain events, including Iraq, Libya, Iraq, etc. And there was going to be downfalls in them nations. But what I did saw when it came to Iran, it was going to be a totally different ballgame altogether. And it indicated that the Third World War would start in the Middle East at this point in time. Now then, that sounds extremely apocalyptic, okay? So please bear with me, because I'm going somewhere with this. I think it's right what Jennifer says. It's right. We've got to be realistic. Just dropping this in at the moment, when we look at the awakening process, we have after the original kind of impact or opening up or expansion of human psyche, there's two things take place. There's two kind of energies moving. One is excitement and one is healing. And they're both kind of walking hand in hand as somebody's walking through their awakening process and the continuous part of it. And they come into I call it the spiritual space. They come under this understanding, or they begin to sense that there's something more going on. We know this. Psychically, they become aware of their psychic abilities, and they start working with that, learning it, expanding on it. Then they become aware of the spirit planes, and then they become aware of cosmic beings and multidimensional things. So you can see there's a line, there's a process. And generally speaking, it leads the mind down a spiritual path, what is commonly known as a spiritual path. But there's also something else what ripens along that path. It's the awareness, and Annie mentioned something earlier. It's the awareness of global affairs and our role on the planet. And then people start looking at the political landscape, the geopolitical landscape, what's going on with the earth. And so it opens up. We know it's called, going down into the rabbit hole and discovering all these, in some cases, horrid things. So there's a process. What I would like to say to everybody is, we're going to come out of this process to a new frequency, a wonderful, magnificent frequency. It's almost as if we're all playing a role in whatever we're playing, whether we call it a game, the great game, this shift of consciousness on the planet. But there's a process, and we're in the process, and we're rapidly approaching what's called 0 point. And 0 point is the moment of impact between the left and right, between the division and separation, the negative and positive. That moment, that singular moment there. Because, of course, we've got a phenomenal advance shift in spiritual awakenings taking place. That's without question. Globally. Possibly, it's way more than hundreds of millions now. It's gone into its billions now of people, and it's happening. We know it's happening on a daily basis. And what we've got is, and referring to people needed to wake up, what we've got is a situation at the minute where there's an acceleration of light taking place. If we look at it from a certain with a certain sense of detachment, which gives us a bit of clarity, there's a phenomenal acceleration of light. As we open up, as we expand, we're generating the light. We know we are light beings. We know electromagnetic beings. I also believe we've already passed the human stage, and we're moving between the spiritual beings and being ethereal beings now. We're stepping into the ether, so to speak, to become ethereal beings, and recognize that we are that. So just to wrap this up, we're looking at stages. And finally, I want to say, for those who are concerned and worried, because if somebody did get the chance and opportunity, they would, I do believe they would press that button at some point. But for those what might know this, there was a story about Admiral Byrd many years ago, in the 40s, I think it was, maybe, in the 40s or 50s. And he led an expedition to Antarctica. And he was a pilot. And as he flew over Antarctica, and he had a fleet of US naval fleet with him, so it wasn't a one-off thing. And the story goes that as he flew over Antarctica, an unknown force, took control of the plane. And yet they remained in the air, and there was being taken somewhere. They had no control over it, and there was taken further into the Antarctic field, and taken into a space inside, let's say, the ice wall. And the plane was landed safely inside the ice, and there was met by certain beings of light. And there was a communication what took place, and these beings of light said to Admiral Byrd, he gave him a warning. We can basically accept anything what's going on out there in your world, and we have to stay out of it because of free will, etc. But what we won't be able to accept, and what we can't tolerate, and when we will have to interfere, is if anybody uses nuclear weapons. We will prevent it from taking place. And when he came back out, when Admiral Byrd, and he went on his own, he had two other people on the flight, as far as I know. When he came back out, the being who we communicated with specifically said to him, we want you to go back to the people above you in charge, what's doing all this, and tell them this as a warning. So he went back to the US State Department, etc., reported it. They ushered it up completely, like, they do, kept it totally quiet, but he had recorded it in his diary. And now, whether this diary is true in his logbook, that's almost word for word for what took place. So it tells us all that when we're looking at ETs and the existential crisis, when we're looking at that, there's a limit what we can go to. How true it is, I don't know. But I have seen in visions and meditations, specifically visions, many, where missiles have been flying through the sky from country to country as if it was fireworks night. And what we're seeing at the moment in the Middle East is just that. We're seeing these missiles flying from one side to the other. I would like to open this up further, but I want to keep this going slightly because I think it's correct. Because we're looking at spiritual minds trying to understand what's taking place. And like you said, Jennifer, we need to understand the reality without dimming our own light. So back to you, Jennifer.
Okay, that was really good. That's really good. And so to continue with what you were saying of like where we're going to become etheric beings, or like Arnie was saying, the crystalline beings too. I got that too, but what they said was there's steps in between to getting there. And so what I got was they were saying, because so these advanced civilizations are like great, 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 great grandparents to planet Earth. So if you want to put in terms of like how advanced they are in their technology compared to us, and that they don't have violence, they don't have war, they don't do harm to each other, they speak telepathically, right? But the next step right now is lifting us out of density. So that doesn't mean we end duality, but they're trying to like, we're this dense and they need us to get up here, so that we can elevate. And then what I got too is they kept saying, but this is in alignment with the will of soul energy. So that's how they use the word soul energy. And so that means that the collective soul is desiring this too, and then is then now permitting our friends to come in and help with us too. So I've been getting chills the whole time we have been talking too. So it's just like, it's really important we try to keep our frequency high and keep working towards getting our frequency as high as we can on a daily basis. And we can talk about that too in a little bit. But the grid, do you want to talk about the grid? Are we ready? Are we ready to talk about the grid?
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, okay. So if we just quickly wrap this little side up then. Oh no, it's all interconnected. We'll leave it. Let's do it right. So the grid.
The lifting us out of density, we can talk about that too. And
maybe we could just answer.
Yeah.
Maybe we could just answer a couple of these questions because I really like.
Yeah.
I love this interaction
Rich
with you
talking
guys.
about photonic light and DNA encoding and why we need to not be afraid of the sun too. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Photonic light from our sun reacts to DNA coding, which actually staying on that very much fair. Yeah. Okay then. The attempted attack on DNA. Yes, very much. Your thoughts then, Jennifer? On Rish's comment.
I don't know, but I know that some sunlight is good for us because we need to make vitamin D, and absolutely do need to take care of our DNA, which just on a practical level is hard to do in an environment with so many different like toxins and things that we're exposed to. So for me as a wellness advocate, like the more you can take care of your physicality, the better you're going to be able to continue to make and preserve your energy. So your cells will stay healthy, your mitochondria will keep producing energy for you, your DNA will stay healthy, your telomeres will stay long. Like those are like very high conscious, parts of your body. Our body is not just this suit that we take off. It's full of cosmic energy and intelligence within it while we're in it, right? Too. So I absolutely do think sun is good for us because look how happy you are with just a few minutes in it. I mean, it just raises your serotonin levels just like that. I was twirling out there yesterday when I felt the sun. I was like, oh, thank you. And I was such a little twirl in the driveway.
Oh, I mean, everybody starts smiling as soon as the sun comes out. You see, it's an instant reaction to the sun. So, Rish, just quickly on that point with Rish, if I can. And with what you've just put up. Sorry, let's just have a look at that because I think they're connected actually to what I'm going to say. Sunlight is good, part of the chemicals and block out the light. Yeah, okay, this will fail. Of course it will, Annie, yeah. So if we go back to Rish's, just quickly, I want to pick up on this, but I'm going to be very fast because, yes, they're trying to dim the sun. They're trying to not dim the sun. They're trying to block the sun from coming through. Now, we know we need the sun. It's the photosynthesis of all plant life, etc.,
Right.
on the planet, including the physical body, exactly as you've just described it, Jennifer. Now, the soul itself is not concerned with the sun because it's of a different substance, far, far greater than a physical
Right.
entity, so to speak. So we've got two players in the game here. We've got the physical body, which we know we need to sustain ourselves, as you've said, and especially so we can continue channeling the light, which is not of the sun, but we need the sun to kind of help us do it. Now then, the attempt to block out the sun, we'll throw this one in just for people who, if they don't know this. What they're trying to do is monetize the sun. This is why there's a lot of solar panels going up across the world by certain companies. And this is why we've got the chemtrails and everything else, sprayed into the atmosphere to block the sun. So then what happens is there will be satellites in orbit, which will gather the energy, the solar energy, and those satellites will send it down to certain power stations on the planet, which people will own, not your average person, obviously. Companies, mega global corporations will own both the satellites and the solar panels and the power station, and they'll sell it to, like they sell electricity and gas, they will sell it to people. And obviously there'll be a priority to that. The military will get fair shout on that, etc., etc. And then it will become exclusive, because obviously if they block the sun to a certain point, if anybody's seen this NEOM, which is over in the Middle East as well, that's a mega city what they're building, where I believe they're planning on putting several, I don't know if it's 1 million or 10 million it's going to house. So they want to take the planet down a certain route. So obviously if the food cannot grow through photosynthesis, then all food is going to be genetically made.
Modified. That's
manufactured.
or manufactured. Ooh, that's a little scary.
And this is exactly their plan. Or I mean, they've got the plans laid out in front of them on the table. We just, as soon as we see one, we can put it together with a few others. Anyway, so that's that bit with the sun. So it's essential that we do whatever we can to prevent this, if we wish to sustain life on the planet as we know it. Because if they get through with these things, this and many others, what we're looking at is we are looking at the end of the human species as we understand it. We would be the last generations of the human species. From that point onwards, it would be obviously microchipped, cyborg, etc., existing. But I'm not going to go any further than this. That's one thing. So that was that question quickly. Thank you. Thanks, Rich, for that one. There was a couple more which I wanted to kind of grab if we can, and then we're going to get onto this grid. Sorry, because I went all the way back. There was 2 or 3 others. Rich mentioned the Anunnaki. Yeah. What a journey. Britain, communicating community. Sorry, let's have a look. Not the war thing, the no buttons for Colin thing. Okay, will we be attacked? AM, I mean active war. Okay, just quickly, we are all under attack at the minute. We're under attack psychologically by using, every time we use Facebook or computer, there's radio frequencies, and the radio frequencies what come off electrical equipment are very low and dense. So that's why we should always spend more time off the computer than what we do on, because when we look at the electromagnetic spectrum of who we are, from the base energy all the way to the crown chakra, we can see the base is infrared all the way up to the ultraviolet and the gamma and beyond at the crown chakra. So it's telling us when we tap into the normal infrared frequencies of the computers, it's holding our consciousness down. And of course, it's deliberately done. Would you like to comment on that part, Jennifer? I'm just fired away.
No.
No, I don't know.
I understand. This is why it's just so important that we take care of our bodies and our minds, and our emotions too. It's a priority. So our energy is our biggest currency. And so that's what we have to keep tabs on, is our energy. And the more we can take care of ourselves, the less this stuff is going to affect us as badly. So we have to like really make a concerted effort. It's not easy, but it's kind of necessary at this point to make a concerted effort to do everything you can to maintain your overall health and wellness. And it's a gift to yourself and to everybody around. And we're seeing now that it has even more importance beyond, the basics too. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's it. So we'll leave the rest of the comments till after, if that's okay, and step into the grid, Jennifer.
the grid.
The
So,
grid.
so Colin and I were talking, and I said, Colin, they're telling me there's a second grid that's being formed, and so we've got our Earth grid, which has our collective consciousness in there, and all of that information in there too. But there's a second grid that's being formed, kind of what I got sort of within. That I don't know if you saw it differently. And what this grid is actually made of people who are amplifiers. So you could say maybe instead of calling us light workers, which kind of has gotten sort of negative and positive connotations to it, maybe you could call us amplifiers. So that's anybody that can hold high frequency energy and can maintain it. So there's another reason why being healthy is so important. You take care of your body, you can hold more energy, and you can sustain high frequency energies for a longer period of time too. So for example, I was in my private closed circle a couple of days ago, and when the other realms came in versus normal spirit world, we thought like something was going to break in the room because the frequency was so high. It was like an opera singer type of thing too, right? So to be able to normalize your system to be able to handle these frequencies, that involves covering a lot of bases, from your physicality to your emotionality to your mentality to your spirituality, to be able to do that. Now, who are the amplifiers? Well, lots of different people I'm being shown, but the mediums, the healers, the twins, athletes, whether they know it or not, anybody who is able to sustain the power, what we call the power or the energy, the cosmic energy, and has a reasonable level of higher conscious awareness that they've achieved through that, is forming this second grid. And that's how we raise out of density. Not
Love
completely.
it.
We'll still have contrast, we'll still have duality, but not this extreme. And when we say it doesn't have to be this way, everybody's like, it doesn't have to be this way. Everybody's feeling it doesn't have to be this way. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't know the question to Bernie. Maybe Colin knows that one too. I'm not sure, because I wasn't specifically validated of that information, although I have read it. But I think there's more than 144,000.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like there's a lot more, actually. So.
Yeah. Penny,
Yeah.
good point. So are the what was that? Are the amplifiers under the 44,000? I don't believe for 1 minute, after looking at this and spending all these years, Bernie, that this figure actually exists. I think it's something what's been projected from over 2,000 years ago. It's time it left the planet and people's minds, because it's holding people back as far as I'm concerned. And it's not that I disrespect people who are thinking that way, not at all, because everybody's got the right to believe themselves. But this business of 144,000. So, okay, what happens to the other 7 point something billion on the planet? They're not good enough.
Yeah.
And they're souls. They are souls.
Yeah.
What we're looking at, I believe, in this case, is when we go back to biblical times and when the Bible and everything was written in them days, they knew certain things, that they wanted to live by certain kind of principles and morals. And they also invented these beautiful stories, but they also had visions. And some of the visions even applied 100 years after they was written doesn't necessarily mean that there was for these times, like what some people say we're living during the end times. In a way, we are. What we're looking at here is we're simply coming to the age of the ego, and we're dissolving it. If we say which is the biggest thing what's being cleared off the planet at the minute, it's the ego. The ego's been dissolved. Realistically speaking, when we do shadow work, letting go, when we're doing healing, what are we doing? We're letting go of our grasping, the I, what has always been grasping, and we're letting go of our attachment. Where does the attachment come from? The I. I am attached to something. I. So, without opening that one up. So we know we're coming to the end of an age. The question is, what's the new age going to be? What's the next age? This one where people are talking about the new earth and two earths, etc., and the split and all this lot. I don't believe for 1 minute it's going to happen. I think what we're going to be looking at is a transformation, as the transformation's taking place within us, and we know it is, within our consciousness. And exactly what Jennifer's been saying. There's a moment where you go, okay, I need to look after my health as well, because then I can be a greater amplifier. My work is more enhanced. So if we're doing that with our consciousness to our physical body, then and also we're transforming and transmutating, we're getting lighter. We know we're getting lighter, in not just in physical form, but so it stands to reason the earth is also going, and this comes back to the earth and its existence. I can't believe I can't say that. I love this word.
Existential. It's a great word.
Yeah. It may appear that there's an existential crisis on the planet, but we must remember we're visitors. The maximum we stay here is 100 and 120 years to this planet. We're visitors. It's been around for eons. And yet all of a sudden we think we know everything about the earth. We don't. We know so little, like we know so little about ourselves. What we're doing is the clarity, which we're trying to find and establish clear light within our consciousness. And in that clear light is where we find new knowledge and our perception changes because we've found new information, etc., etc. So we've got to be a bit cautious. What we can say is as we move through, and totally, I believe we are creating a new grid. From my side, and during the first, I've got the date somewhere, I've got the picture in the back. Spirit got me to draw a grid upon a grid, 2 grids. So I drawn the etheric web, and they got me to draw a second web, a separate second grid on a huge sheet of paper. And that was probably in the first couple of months of COVID, I think, it may have been prior to COVID actually. And it intrigued me. And what's happening is one grid is feeding the other. And I think this is in relation to what you're saying, Jennifer. It's amplifying those who are open to receive. Those what are not, then, there's nothing we can do. They'll open when they do. But this new grid, for me, is exceptionally important. So what's happening is we're clearing the old grid, the one which has always been around. That's why we're seeing so much change taking place, because we're cleansing and clearing and purifying the thoughts and emotions within the old etheric grid. There's absolutely no question we're not doing that. That's one of the main reasons we've come here to do.
Chills. Yeah.
And because we've created them, haven't we? We've dumped our emotions and we've dumped our thoughts either within our auric field or within our own etheric web or externally on others and around the planet. And that energy has been utilized to create these wars and conflicts, etc. So what we're looking at is aligning to both grids now. So we can utilize the chakras for this. Once we align the chakras, expanding each chakra, sending the consciousness up, as in ascension, through meditation, whenever you want to do it, or you can do it walking down the street, sending the consciousness up into the new grid, and then drawing that light down. And that's amplifying everything. That amplifies the energies and the frequencies and the light. And that's why we're going to keep seeing this change until it's cleared. I better keep quiet now.
That was really good. And you're correct, because being an amplifier doesn't mean you're better than anybody else. Just like our cosmic friends are saying, we're not better than you. We're just older than you. So they were very clear about that. It's like having an ancestor, and then you show some respect for the wisdom that those ancestors have gained, over time too. And so, but so what do we want to do if we're like, we're seeing this and we want to help? So um, on a singular level, the more you can keep doing your own kind of clearing and letting go process by integrating your psyche, that will help a lot too, because that we are all connected, and through that connectivity, whatever you do affects everybody around you and affects the collective. All of these energies that we see, whether we think they're good or bad or light or dark, are all present to all of us. None of us can say that's not me. They're present to all of us. They're all frequencies. But what we see is that the way those frequencies are acted upon and behaved upon and reacted to is dependent upon how much you know who you are and are aligned with your soul energy, so to speak, too. So in order to get aligned with your higher self or your soul energy, that requires doing all the shadow work and understanding yourself as a complex human being and spiritual being, that has available to you many different frequencies to work with and behave with and act upon too. But we want to do it consciously. And that's why I say, if spirituality isn't making you a better human being, then you're acting upon frequencies unconsciously, and then you're part of the scene, you're part of the play, and just allowing it to be, versus going in consciously and saying, I can make a difference by using the energies. I can use the positive form of these energies in a responsible way to make a difference too. So the more we clear, the more we let go, the more we raise our own frequency, align with our higher consciousness, take care of your health so you can hold energy. Because if your body is weak, it's not going to do as good a job as be able to sustain the energy, because we're an energetic system connected with a physical system, and it is all connected in layers, right? So everything depends upon each other too. Doesn't make anybody better. It just means this is kind of what we signed up for. This is why we're here. So we're here to do our job, kind of thing too. But if it gives you a feeling that you're helping, that's a good thing. That's a good thing too, because then it's going to take you out of despair and into, moving forward. I do believe still, the age of Aquarius, that, there is a renaissance coming. So after the dark ages comes a renaissance. And that's why being in the creative flow, anything artistic or creative that you can do should be helpful, because that is where we're going. And so being part of that creative flow, it puts you in the zone, it puts you in the power, it puts you in the flow of the universal energy. And then as an amplifier with a pure heart, look at that kind of frequency that you're helping to create. So permission to paint, draw, make music, dance, sing, write poetry, whatever you got to do.
Yeah, beautifully said, Jennifer. Absolutely.
Thank
you. We know we're creative beings, don't we? It's interesting. I had a thought just at the end of what you were saying there, Jennifer. Popped in, and it was about the spectrum, the frequencies. When you was mentioning the frequencies, and it might be worth sharing with people, which is when we're talking, and Annie mentioned, emotional and mental as well. So
Yes.
what we're looking at, we could imagine we've got, let's say, in relation to our emotions, we can say there's a minimum of 7 wavelengths, frequencies and vibrations of our emotions. We know sometimes we feel emotionally high, sometimes emotionally low. So it's telling us that the high ones is beautiful wavelengths, frequencies, and the lower one is obviously a slower, denser frequency or wavelength. So we go, okay, if I'm using 7 frequencies with each one of my emotions, it gives us an indicator to go in and find out which ones we wish to kind of assist or transform and help. The same with our mental capacity. When we're talking about the higher self is not a singularity as in just one higher self. there's a multitude of frequencies to our higher self. So then, okay, so we've got the physical, we can bring in the 7 bodies because we know we've got an emotional body, mental body, astral, ethereal body, etc., etc. These are all permeating within around us and in an ascending fashion. So then we go, okay, we're starting to see something about our being, who we actually are, as some kind of form in the vastness of time and beyond time and space. So then we can say to ourselves, right, if I've got 7 bodies and I'm also dancing with between 7 frequencies, we know we've got 7 chakras minimum. And it's okay, guys. Nobody needs to remind me there's more than 7. Where everybody knows this. It's okay. Okay. But there's the 7 principal foundational chakras. And what it's telling us is we're living in a realm or plane of existence which is made of a specific spectrum of wavelengths, frequencies, and vibrations. And we're all utilizing and moving along at some point in some location in that space of those frequencies. So 1 minute, one high, next on the low, etc. But when we expand slightly on this, we go, okay, so the universe and the cosmos, then there's got to be a lot more spectrums of reality. What brings me great joy is we know now by waking with the light and ascending and expanding our consciousness, we're expanding and ascending into those other frequencies of our higher self. And it's infinite. And what it also tells us is that we are a spiral of energy. We can't be anything else. We're a spiral of energy. And we move our consciousness along those rings of that spiral. And that spiral represents our awareness. So when we think about it, this conscious thought, what Colin's having at the minute, is coming from a location in the spiral of Colin's own awareness. If Colin moves his consciousness, i.e., just ascends slightly, takes one more step on further along the spiral, we start getting close to going into an altered state. I go further and I'm going further into an altered state. Go even further and I'm attuning with cosmic beings. If I return and start descending down, I'm coming back to Colin's earthly conscious ordinary mind, so to speak. And if Colin dips, then he's descending into lower, denser frequencies of his own awareness, surrounded by, and I'm going to use Annie's word because it's in front of me, surrounded by this multiverse of spirals of awareness. So we're existing in an infinite awareness, and it's up to us to move our consciousness. We have the free will and the choice to move our consciousness anywhere on that spiral of our own awareness and the one what attunes to infinite awareness. So when we're talking about, and I'm hoping to come back to ETs quickly, when we're talking about the existential crisis on the planet, clearly there is, and clearly we have a responsibility to not just go into fear mode. We have a responsibility to contribute to it, to help it as best as we can. And what I find wonderful in the spiritual space, and I think it was Evelyn earlier what said something, we do what we do when we're wherever we are, type of thing. Well, them exact words, but it's similar. And it's like, be who we are in that moment we're in, and be on that ascended spiral, that ascended part of the spiral of your own awareness. The fear can't touch you at that point. There is no fear in light. So if we go into the light and we know a spiral, it expands and ascends the higher we go. So if we ascend our consciousness as and when we feel the need or inspired, including keeping the body in good shape as best as we can.
Thank you, Colin.
You know, and it's like, then we become this whole thing, don't we? You know, and from that, we get to see reality. And instead of trying to tune into cosmic beings and spirit planes, we're already there. we'll perceive them in the dimensions and realms in front of our very eyes. And we'll merge and blend with them. Jennifer, sometimes you just have to really say, Colin, press pause.
No, I don't. We both talk a lot. That's why we get along so well. Yeah. And I'm just going to add that, you know, with this work, it's like you can be in a high frequency and a low frequency at the same time and help to transform the lower frequencies with your higher frequencies too. So for example, if something happens and it makes a part of my psyche feel sad, then what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take my higher awareness of my psyche to be the loving mother to my sadness. And like, my sadness needs me right now. So instead of rejecting my sadness or trying to distract my sadness or trying to logic my way out of my sadness, I'm going to give unconditional love, which is a high frequency. This is love is as a high frequency. I mean, it's really, really high. And then I bring my sadness up into this one, you know, to there, into another place. And then that part of my psyche now has become part of my higher awareness, if that makes sense too. So little by little, we make these changes. So this is how we transmute. This is how we transform. It takes practice to do this because we're so conditioned to separating out all of the parts, and we do it so well that we're not even aware that we do it. The other part you were saying, and I'm keeping mindful of the time because I know you have another live coming up, Colin, in a few minutes, too, is that...
You're welcome to join me on the ways.
Okay. I might just do that. Is this physical reality that we're in, when it looks the most physical, is very dense. That's how we get this appearance of solidity. This chair that I'm sitting in, this desk that's in front of me, this computers, it's very, very dense, and it has a very soupy, kind of darker, dreamy feel. And dark I don't mean bad, but just in a framework of how I'm using that word too. And it's like, the interesting thing is when we move into an altered state, it has this other kind of density, but it's just because it's so amplified. It feels so intense. So intensity might be a better word. And that's what brings us into these other kind of realms where we can now channel the awareness. So the good part is that we can get to a space where that channeling is like almost always available to us, unless we're needing to be hyper focused in this reality, like, you know, trying to get a live going and things like that. And then we, you know, and then we move it back up again too, so that we can have these like conversations too. So, but I do feel there's hope, and I do feel there's help. And like you said, they are not interfering with the collective soul energy of what happens, but but it is in alignment too. And I do believe you're right that if there was the potential for hitting the button and destruction, then they would change their tune and step in a little bit further too. I don't think they're going to need to, the way that I'm feeling into it now. But we definitely got some interesting plot twists coming, so that I've been kind of being shown, and I was just like, oh, okay. We've got some plot twists coming, people. So stay tuned and grab your popcorn.
Absolutely beautiful, Jennifer. Absolutely. I agree, Annie. Nice to have you with us. I love that, Jennifer, she says. Who was the one? Kellyanne Washino. I'm sorry, but I laughed at this.
Thank you, Annie.
I just laughed my head off at that. You didn't see me laugh. Well, you might
Ascension Master.
Yeah, not the last two words. I was looking at the...
This is why I've been saying Colin gives the Ascension Master. I love that.
Kelly,
this is why I say Colin gives
on.
the word patriarchy a really good name. he gives it a good name. So.
Kelly, you know what? You are so right, Kelly. I pressed one button earlier, and that's it. We all got ejected for 40 minutes off the live.
Let's not do that. Not that button either. I was talking about the other button, but we don't want to press.
Too many buttons for me. Too many. Well, you know, we've got free will, and we're going, Colin, you choose which one you want to press. So just quickly, just very quickly, ETs. Let's use that word, ETs. We know we are ETs. It's ridiculous to think we're not. We are
True.
intelligent beings, although you wouldn't think we are. And we've got to stop this mess, what's going on the planet. We've got to stop this suffering, this killing. It's got to stop. And we've come to do it. And I think we've got to make a concerted effort to do that. We cannot sit back and watch the world as we're seeing at this moment, especially in the last 3 years. Previously, there was wars and there'd be a town or village obliterated. What we're looking at now is whole countries being absolutely flattened and leveled. And the scenes from the apocalypse, they're playing out in front of our eyes while we're standing on the planet, sometimes hundreds of miles away from it or thousands of miles away from it. It's not as if we're in a different universe observing it over there somewhere and we're not affected by it. So I think that's important for us to kind of make some kind of effort. And okay, sending love helps, but sometimes it can be wasted. The negative side will take it and they'll go, thanks very much, I'll use that and I'll just, do some more damage with it. I honestly believe if we can vibrate to such a frequency, and it goes back to, I think, what you were saying, the amplifier, Jennifer. If we can vibrate at such a frequency, we can really seriously attune. And even as I'm saying it, I can feel those beings drawing close or drawing closer. And together with them, that's where we can really help. Not just stop the suffering, what's going on the plane, on this airplane, but eradicate it completely. Eradicate it. And I know people go, well, this is, it's a cycle. And this. I don't believe in the cycle no more. I think it's all spirals. We've got a choice. We're consent. And I think that's what we're doing now. And I think that what I wanted to point out is when we're talking about ETs and looking at in a mirror and going, well, who's standing in front of that mirror? There's an intelligence, a vast cosmic intelligence, which has never been encouraged to be intelligent and have the freedom. Now we're peeling the layers off. Now we're removing the shackles and the chains from the light of our soul. And the faster you can do this, the quicker the suffering will cease. Having said that, it's playing out as it is. And those cosmic beings, and I wanted to say this, or they wanted to say this, is to really push this home. Let them know how close we are at this minute, Colin. Let them know how we're almost surrounding and engulfing the planet to contain what's taking place and bring assistance and help and upliftment and ease the suffering, but also continue to inspire the people who are channeling. They're literally around the planet at this moment as we're talking. And they really want to emphasize this. And they're inviting everybody, open that door to them. Open the door as much as you possibly can. Not a little window or a little doorway inside of your head. Your energy field. Open your field of energy and allow them to step in. Because it's together. Nobody's coming to save us.
No one's coming to save us. We got to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Nobody's coming to say, please don't think, oh, they'll save us. No.
All the angels are going to come and make all this go away. No. They're going to help us raise our frequency.
Yes.
But we have to do the work. We have to show up. We have to choose to live consciously and make efforts every single day. And it's worth it. That's love. Yeah. That's radical love, amplified love.
That's it, Jennifer. Amplified.
Yeah.
Amplifiers.
Yeah.
There is a new grid forming, and this new grid, I believe, is of an ethereal nature by far, easily. And when we think of the word ethereal, it even sounds wonderful and beautiful. So, and there's so much more. you know, it's almost, we can say it's like a connecting board between the worlds. We know dimensions are opening up, the realms, everything is now, you know, it always was. It's us what's now, for some reason, we've landed on the planet, we've put ourselves on these springboards of pain and suffering and gone, okay, down, up, and we've awakened and into the light. So,
yeah. So thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that too. And the hardest thing to hold is opposites. That's what makes our mind break into. And it's like, but what about all of the spiritual teachings that we've been given? You know, like everything happens for a reason and it's all connected and there's a divine order. That can be true. And because we are part of that divine order, we can say this needs to change. These unconscious behaviors of violence, in the world, and especially against women and children, are not okay and have never been okay. They are part of the order, but they are part of the order that gets us to awaken to our higher self and choose something better, choose something more elevated, choose to grow into a space like our cosmic neighbors, brothers, and sisters, where they aren't harming one another. That space does exist for us and we can get there. I'm not sure who's talking through me right now, not just me, but but if we make a choice to show up for yourselves, show up for each other, and stay focused, we absolutely can do it right now. The next step, raising us out of this density into a lighter one, and then we'll get to the fancy stuff after that. We gotta get to the next step first. So on that note, you have a live in 4 minutes, Colin.
Well, it's on this. I'm just going to double check. I think we go straight into it from here, do we?
I think you're on a separate link. I think you're on a separate link, love.
Is it a separate link? Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got to end this one.
Jennifer.
We could do part 2.
You definitely. It's up to you, Jennifer. I'd love to have you join us on this next link.
Yeah. I'll come on over. Yeah, I'll come on over. So just once, if Ava can share it with me, I can add my pages, and we could do a to be continued if you all would like that. So
yes, we can do part 2. ETs and existential eggs. You say it, Jennifer. I'm fed up
ET and planet Earth's existential crisis. So what do our galactic beings want to unveil to all of us?
So part 2 coming up soon. In the meantime, we're going to come off this, guys, and we're going to jump straight onto a new StreamYard within 5 minutes, within 3 to 5 minutes, and we're going to go live for an hour with for some readings for everybody. So
beautiful.
Hold your horses. We'll see you on the other side.
Okay,
Jennifer,
thank you, Colin.
Beautiful. See you.
I love you. You give the good meaning to the word patriarch. We love you, Colin.
I'm out of here. Thank you, everybody. Lots of love to everybody.
God bless everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye.